Okay, this is chapter 35 of The Night Singer. 35. The sky above the Kalmar Strait was dark gray and felt like it was bearing down on them. Over on the mainland, Eric could see large black patches amid the gray. He hoped there would be some kind of release before his parents-in-law landed. He reached over at Hannah in the passenger seat. She hadn't said a word since they'd left Rebecca's house, and though he wanted to respect her silence, he couldn't. They needed to go through the new developments in the case before they got to the station. "What do you make of the fingerprints?" he asked. "It feels like there's no point thinking anything before we check the surveillance footage. I'm wondering about Fanny and Axel Stanston. Do you think there could be some kind of link between them?" "Like what?" "Like maybe Axel has been selling Fanny hash." "Are you serious?" The words came out with a laugh, and considering what Hannah had interpreted as criticism earlier, Eric was surprised she didn't react. "Yes, and Axel was into drugs in high school." Eric's phone began ringing, Supriya's name flashing up on the screen. "Sorry, I need to take this," said Eric. "Could you put it on loudspeaker?" Supriya was incredibly stressed ahead of her parents' visit, and if Eric didn't answer her now, things would only get worse. Hannah hesitated for a moment, then did as he asked. "I'm on my way to the airport," Supriya announced. "Already?" "Yeah, their plane lands in less than an hour, and I can't risk not being there." "Papa!" Nyla called from the back seat. Clearly, they were on loudspeaker too. Nyla switched effortlessly between three languages, meaning Eric was Papa and Supriya was Aya. Supriya actually spoke Hindi as well as Marathi, but they had decided that it was probably one language too many for the young girl. "Hi, honey, are you excited?" "Yes, Ija is bringing me a new dress, a pink one." Ija was Supriya's mother. Nyla still hadn't grown out of the pink princess stage. "Did you manage to buy the duvets yet?" Supriya interrupted. Eric realized he should tell her she was on loudspeaker and that his colleague was in the car with him, but he decided not to. Hannah seemed to have frozen, and he guessed she didn't want to make a sound. He feverishly racked his brain for what he had told Supriya about Hannah, but why would she start talking about her now? "Not yet," he said, "but I'm working on it." Eric had switched back to English. He often did. English when he spoke to Supriya and Swedish with Nyla. His wife sighed unhappily. He thought he could hear the patter of raindrops in the background. It must be raining over there. "I'll get them, I promise." Eric ended the call. "Why do you need to buy duvets?" Hannah asked. "It's May." "My parents-in-law are coming to stay for 2 weeks, and my wife is worried they'll be cold." For once, his words actually made Hannah smile. Eric wondered if this was an opening. He had taken a step back, but he still wanted to talk to her about her father, to show her that he didn't care about it the way she seemed to think he did, that there was no ill will in his curiosity. On the other hand, he was also fairly sure she wouldn't appreciate a direct question. Maybe he could take a roundabout route instead. "You know, Ove asked me to keep an eye on you." For a second or two, Hannah tore her eyes from the windshield and turned to look at him. "Did he now?" Yeah, but I told him it was obvious you're a great cop, because that's what I think, if that wasn't clear already." "Thanks, I guess." It didn't seem like Hannah had anything else to say on the matter. Eric had assumed she would be furious. It must be awful to be questioned because of something one of your parents had done. Strictly speaking, Ove had simply said he wanted to make sure Hannah was doing okay, and Eric felt a little guilty at having twisted his words in an attempt to make her talk. "Honestly, I think he meant well. Just stop talking." He could see it in her eyes and hear it in his own head, but still he couldn't do it. "Did you know Ove before you came back? I got that impression." Hannah turned to look out at the water again. For a moment or two, Eric didn't think she was going to reply. The first raindrops hit the windshield as the car left the bridge. "He led the investigation into my dad." "Oh, shit." Eric racked his memory, but he was fairly sure he hadn't read any statements from Ove. They were all from a police spokesperson. If Ove's name had cropped up anywhere, he would have remembered it. The investigation seemed to have been wrapped up quickly, and the press had been more focused on the crime itself, on how it had affected the small community, how it had brought back memories of previous fires. They were 15 minutes out from the station when the heavens finally opened. A flash of lightning cut across the gray sky. Eric parked in the station garage, and they hurried up to Ove's office. He opened the door without knocking and closed it behind him. Ove was standing by the window with his arms folded, clearly unable to sit still. "Hi, I'm Melina." The woman sitting at Ove's desk cast a quick glance at Eric and Hannah, her fingers still darting over the keyboard. "Hi," said Hannah, introducing herself with her first name. Melina was in her late 20s, a Kalmar native, and she was the technician Eric got along with best, primarily because she liked to try out new things. Just a few weeks earlier, she had dragged him to a taekwondo taster session, but it wasn't something he planned to take up. Is that really how you say taekwondo? I guess I've never read it before. Anyway, all that kicking wasn't really his preferred type of workout. "Well," said Ove. "Take it easy, I'm almost done," said Melina. "Okay." She pressed play, and Eric took a step forward so that he could see the screen. The same surveillance video they had watched earlier was playing. Axel Stanston walking along Larmagaten outside his office, but the timestamp was different. He had left the office just after Tatjana. "Shit," Ove muttered. "Was it manipulated here or not?" "Hold on, let me call my contact at Securitas," said Melina. Just a few minutes later, she had the answer. "That's the video that was sent over to us." She nodded to the screen where Axel Stanston and a 11:14 p.m. timestamp were frozen. "I want Axel Stanston in an interrogation room now," said Ove, "and I want the technician who received the CCT footage in another one." "Who was it?" asked Eric. "Benjamin Karlsted," Melina replied, a dogged tone to her voice. Eric pictured Benjamin, a short, dark-haired guy in his early 30s, quiet and efficient. His father had been in the force too. Why had he risked his job like this? Eric just couldn't understand.